Welcome to part 7 of JFK and the Civil Rights Movement. Now we're going to talk about Alabama. By the beginning of 1963, Martin Luther King Jr. had become frustrated with John F. Kennedy's inaction on civil rights, and so he decided to step up the pressure. He decided to begin organized nonviolent protests in some of the most dangerously segregated cities across the country. This is going to put Birmingham, Alabama right in the crosshairs. Birmingham is a steel town of about 340,000 people, and with a long history of racial acrimony, right? The Supreme Court had ordered Birmingham to open up its public places. Birmingham's response was to just close them. They closed down 38 public playgrounds, 8 swimming pools, and 4 golf courses rather than integrate them, right? Their commissioner of public safety was a man named Eugene Bull Connor. He was a staunch segregationist. Martin Luther King Jr. referred to Birmingham as the most thoroughly segregated city in the United States. So in 1963, they began leading demonstrations in the city demanding fair hiring practices and, of course, that desegregation requirements to be met, right? On April 12, 1963, Dr. King himself was arrested and thrown in jail in Birmingham. This is where he wrote his famous letter from Birmingham jail, which is going to criticize white clergymen for asking black America to wait for equal rights, right? And I think it's probably one of the most historically relevant and important writings in the civil rights movement, personally, right? Now, like I said, after King gets arrested, you see some of this protest in Birmingham begin to die down. Now, there had been no violence up to this point, but violence is a requirement in a nonviolent movement. I know that sounds kind of contradictory, but you need the other side to perpetrate violence. What that does is that puts that into the face of the people watching TV, eating their TV dinners and ignoring their families, right? To say, oh, whoa, what's going on down there in Birmingham, right? So James Lawson is actually going to volunteer to send more protesters down there to Birmingham while Dr. King was in jail. He's going to send a student group down there, right, which is going to include some kids as young as 10 and 11 years old, but most of them are teenagers. On May 3rd, violence is finally going to break out, and it's going to play out on national television as Connor and his men are going to attack these civil rights activists with fire hoses that are turned up to a really high pressure, literally shooting some of these protesters down the street, attack dogs attacking protesters, and this is all going to play out on TV for the entire nation to see. Right? The courts will react by removing the entire Birmingham city government, including Eugene Bull Connor. Well, Birmingham put Alabama on the national stage. Its governor, George Wallace, is going to remain very staunchly segregationist. He's going to campaign on that platform. Matter of fact, in his campaign speeches for governor, he's going to say, segregation today, segregation tomorrow, segregation forever, right? In 1963, he is also going to be in the spotlight because of what's going to happen at the University of Alabama in Tuscaloosa, right? 2 black students, Vivian Malone and Jimmy Hood, are going to apply to go to the University of Alabama, again, using Brown v. Board as the legal justification for it, right? Governor George Wallace is going to create a public spectacle of this and refuse to allow these 2 students to come enroll, right? On June 7th, 1963, Wallace is going to send 500 Alabama National Guardsmen to Tuscaloosa in order to block their access to the registers. And he himself is going to set up a podium there in front of the registrar's office, kind of more of a piece of showmanship to show that he is going to bar their entry into the University of Alabama. Okay, so on June 11th, Malone and Hood arrived to enroll at the university. Wallace defiantly stands in the doorway, right? This time, JFK, I think, is starting to see the light here because he takes some action and he doesn't wait like he did even like with the Freedom Riders that spent 3 days trapped in a church. in Montgomery. He is going to take a page from Eisenhower's book. He's going to immediately federalize that Alabama National Guard. And then he's going to take it one step further. He's going to order that same National Guard to remove Governor Wallace from the front of the registrar's office at the University of Alabama. The general in command of the Alabama National Guard is going to approach Governor Wallace and say, I regret to inform you that I have been placed under the authority of the president and I've been ordered to remove you or arrest you. And Wallace, of course, like I said, this is showmanship. He'll pick this up and basically say the fight's not over and leave, right? So you're going to see, though, Kennedy, who had tried so hard to stay out of the civil rights fight. By June of 1963, you're going to start seeing what I like to believe is that light bulb moment. This is the first example that you see him begin to realize, I need to get behind this civil rights movement.